Hello and welcome to the final section of this course. After this is done, we'll be moving on to the end game, which is the mini project. So far, we have gone ahead and discussed the very basics of developer tools and then HTML essentials, CSS essentials, Bootstrap as well, so that it is easy for you to build modern web apps without getting too deep into using only CSS so that you can build responsive websites without knowing all the nitty-gritties of CSS. You've done that too. And now the last thing, in the beginning I mentioned when we talk about programming, you have the HTML, which gives you the structure, like a skeleton. I think I used that example of an animal or something. So HTML is the skeleton, CSS is the appearance, and the JavaScript is the brain. So if you are thinking of animating a tiger or something, HTML will give you the skeleton, CSS and Bootstrap will give you the texture and appearance, and JavaScript is what will make the tiger run around looking cool and all that. So that is where we are right now. So in this chapter, I am going to be discussing about JavaScript. Again, just the essentials, just the basics. Now you have to understand here that JavaScript is big. All right, and this is something I want to spend a couple of minutes talking about here. Now, please understand that, especially if you're coming in as a totally new developer, programming language is always a challenge. I mean, of course, HTML and CSS are also very challenging, but at the same time, JavaScript is where you will really find a lot of learning difficulties here. Again, going back to my own experience as a teacher, for like informally I've been teaching since I was a teenager to a lot of other people, and professionally for more than 10 years, and thousands of students I've interacted with. JavaScript is where a lot of people get stuck. I've seen people pick up programming languages, not just JavaScript, any language, any other language like C, C++, C Sharp, Java, which is different from JavaScript, Python, and so on and so forth. Any programming language, the first programming language that you learn will always challenge you a lot. I've seen some students pick it up and start coding in JavaScript very fast. In a few hours they know the basics, and then they're ready to learn all the advanced concepts, and they know, like, usually in 30 to 50 hours they've figured out most of the things, and whatever they don't know, they're able to go online or use AI and then start picking things up automatically. But at the same time, I've seen a lot of students who spend months getting hold of JavaScript or any programming language. So the way it works is, you should expect some challenge. Now it's possible you might just pick it up naturally, but then again, as a teacher, I've seen a lot of students struggle. So be ready for it. So if you find yourself struggling, then this is the part where you really slow down and then take each chapter. I mean, many of the videos we have made are maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes at most, not more. Especially in JavaScript, I'll be covering a lot of topics in brief. So even those simple topics with simple code examples, you may have to spend a lot of time with each tiny chapter. So please understand that is totally normal. So that's all I wanted to say. I'm not gonna harp on that way too much, but you've been warned, and hopefully you'll take this into consideration. So if you find yourself being challenged, then please understand that's totally normal. Okay. So now the next part is, how do we go about practicing JavaScript? Okay, so I've already explained what is JavaScript. JavaScript is a programming language. Everything you do, there's always a program. Like, it's like how you speak. You have English. I come from India, so I speak a language called Kannada. Sometimes when I travel, I speak another language called Hindi. So, the language is essentially how you speak in a specific situation. So JavaScript is the language that you use to speak to building web-based software, web-based websites, web-based apps. So that's the language of choice here. And JavaScript is one of the most popular languages in the world. I'm not just saying that for the sake of saying. A quick search online, you can find a lot of surveys, and everybody and anybody is using JavaScript. So knowing JavaScript automatically will help you gain entry into the software world. But of course, once you learn JavaScript, you can go beyond it and you can learn other languages, like Python if you feel like, and then you can move on to more complex languages like C Sharp and C++. Java, and so on and so forth. So JavaScript can be your gateway, like people say, like an entry point for the world of software development. JavaScript is a good gateway point as well. So today you start your journey into programming with JavaScript. Later you can learn other things as well. So that's all there is to it about JavaScript. I can talk about how cool JavaScript is for a long time, but I'm gonna stop this here. So let's jump into how you would actually practice JavaScript. Now there are many ways of doing JavaScript. That's one of the things I like about JavaScript, or even web development in general, is how easy it is to set things up. I mean, you can code in JavaScript practically on any type of computing device. Now when I say computer device, obviously you can code on computers, you can code on your smartphone, you can code on your iPad, iPhone. There is no limit. The options to do JavaScript are incredible. But here we are going to focus on two things. Both are computer based. So let's go ahead and do that. So obviously, I have mentioned this before as well. So CodePen is an easy way to practice JavaScript. So let me remove myself so you can see the whole screen. All right then. So there you go. We have CodePen here. Now, when you log into CodePen, as always, please use your GitHub account like I did to log into CodePen, and then on the and just go ahead and create a new pen. So, and you see here that we have the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. All you have to do is just go directly to the JavaScript thing, make that bigger, and let's try something very simple. Console.log. Hey, how are you? Semicolon is optional, but I'm an old school programmer. I like to put it there. All right, there you go. So just go ahead and save it. And that is saved. And if I check the console, the output should be there. Ah, there it is. Look, that's it. Easy. So this is one way you can practice JavaScript. Just go to CodePen website, log in with your GitHub account. I believe I've shown CodePen before as well for practicing HTML and CSS and Bootstrap. But yeah, so this is the easiest way to practice JavaScript. And I actually recommend this method, especially in the early days of your programming, because when you do things on CodePen, you get like a link here on the top. You can copy that, and whenever you ask doubts like on forums and stuff like that, putting this link will allow other people to directly see what you're working with. It makes it easy for you to learn as well. So when you ask questions, doing things on CodePen makes it very easy to ask other people for help, because they can see exactly where you're stuck. Okay, so that's about the CodePen. I'll let you explore it in your own time. And the second option, the one that I'll be using it, is obviously using the VS Code. Now remember, I've been talking about the startup folder all through the course. Well, the same startup folder already has JavaScript working. So there you go. I'm just opening a startup folder. You remember this all the time, right? So let's comment this. I don't need this right now. I don't need this CSS stuff right now, so I'm going to delete it. I don't want to leave an empty page, so I'm just going to say don't want. Okay, there you go. Oh, there you go. And now I can go here and I can see. Now remember, when you're trying to do JavaScript, you can't see JavaScript here directly in VS Code, so you still need your Firefox for that. You go here and then go to developer tools. Let me remove myself from the there you go. And you can see, if you go to console, hello, I am Batman. So one thing you can do is you can just make this one a little bit smaller like this when you're practicing. This is something I do. What I do is, especially when I'm working only on JavaScript, I simply make these windows occupy half the space like this. So now look at what I'm doing. So I can say, let me just write a simple code. Okay, I'll talk about what I'm doing in upcoming videos. So I'm just going to show you how this works. See, as I'm typing, things happening on the right side. So I have two numbers here, 10 and 20. Then I'm going to say addition equals first number plus second number. Okay. And then I'm going to say console dot log, and I'm going to say there it is. That's it. You can see on the right side. Don't worry about this favicon error. Don't worry about it. It's fine. So there you go. So I have the first output. Hello, hello, I'm Batman, coming just fine on the right side. And then what I did was I created two variables. I will explain what the variable is in the upcoming videos. As I mentioned, I will go through all the essentials in short videos. And finally, I'm going to add like a basic math operation. I'm using what is called as a plus operator. We'll talk about operators in the future videos. Finally, I just want to show the output. So I have 10 and 20. And so the output, let me make this a little bit bigger. Let me see if I can zoom it in. Hold on. Okay, I don't think I have an option to zoom this here. But I believe you can see it there because this is the size you'll be seeing as well. You might as well get used to it. I'm sure there's an option to make it bigger, but I'll leave it as it is. There you go. So I have the first number is 10 and the second number is 20. I add them and then I get 30 and I'm just showing the result here. So if I change this one to 50, immediately the output is going to become 60. That's it. There you go. That's how you go ahead and practice JavaScript. So two methods you can practice on CodePen, which is actually a good option because when you're learning, especially in the early days, you may have a lot of questions and you may want to go online, ask questions on forums like Stack Overflow or on our GitHub forum and things like that, where when you get stuck, being able to show your code directly from the browser is very, very useful. Makes it easy for you to ask questions, makes it easy for other people to help you as well. So CodePen is recommended. At the same time, as you grow as a developer, you can't actually do everything on CodePen. It is good in some circumstances, like especially when you're learning, but eventually you'll have to start building your projects in VS Code. So when you're practicing slowly, gradually, you'll be using more and more VS Code. So two options, and you can use a starter folder for practicing JavaScript. And then the best way, as I showed you, is to keep the code on the left side and Firefox with the developer tools on the right side for optimum easy way of practicing. Like you type on the left side, you see the output on the right side, things go crazy. So there you go, folks. That is all I wanted to explain to you about what is JavaScript and what is the best way to practice it. In the next set of videos, I'll be touching upon every basic JavaScript topic, which is like a super essential. I can't cover any of the advanced concepts, but I will cover the basics just enough for you to be able to build our mini project and so on and so forth. Okay. All right then. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Welcome to the next part in our JavaScript basics section. So in this section, I'm going to jump in and show you about the most fundamental thing in programming with JavaScript, which is variables and debugging. Both are essential concepts. Everything here is an essential concept, but I'll keep saying that everything is essential. So you will just have to get used to it. Right then. So in programming, the first thing that you always do is to go ahead and create variables. Now variables, there are several ways to look at it. The simplest example I can think of, a variable is like a container in which you put your data. And you must understand, on a very basic level, every software is about manipulating data. Yeah. Like for instance, let's say you are playing a video game or something like Fortnite or Call of Duty. When you log in to the game on your PC or Xbox, you log in with your username and password, and information about you gets loaded onto your console or PC. Like if you're a long time player, you may have some rank values, some maps that you downloaded, some scores and achievements, things like that. So what is all that? Ultimately, all this data is stored somewhere in a database on the Fortnite and Xbox servers. And when you log in, all this data gets downloaded and is stored in variables in the gaming software, and that data is displayed. So any software you can think of is ultimately about that. Like for example, right now you're watching this video course. Now this video course is being loaded on your computer. You're probably watching it in your browser, and then all this information, the video information, the code information, all that is stored in some database somewhere, and that gets downloaded onto your browser into the LMS software, and then that data gets stored in the variables of the software and it is shown to you. So there you go, that's what variables is. So everything you do in a software is ultimately is about storing data and showing it, and then again storing it back to the database, and then downloading it and sending it back, so on and so forth. So that's really what a variable is. Okay, so that's what we're going to look at it right now. So as always, let's go ahead and bring up our starter folder. Same thing from before. I'm going to go ahead and fire up that starter folder here. Yeah, there you go, I already have it on my screen. Okay, so let me eliminate this. Let me go ahead and eliminate this. So you have the console log. I want to talk about this a little bit here, and I also want to talk a little bit about commenting, right? Commenting, and maybe it's better if I just make it a separate slide. Hold on, let me just, yes. Yeah, this is something which I need to mention. Right then. So there are a couple of things you will do when you are coding, which one of them is called commenting, and another one is called caveman debugging. Is a phrase that we use in a funny way. So commenting, let me show you as I'm talking about it. Look, right now I have this code. So what happens is when I try to run it, you can see here it comes up as an output on the right side. Now, when you're programming, a lot of times you will write something and then later at some point you no longer need it. That happens a lot as you build software. I always think of software as a evolution. It simply doesn't exist like a light switch. It's more like something that grows over time, like a plant or a tree. So a lot of times you want to get rid of something, but you want to keep it for future reference sometimes, if not permanently but temporarily. Then what we do is, whenever you have something like that, you go ahead. Let me remove myself from the recording. Yeah, there you go. So let's say I don't want this line anymore. Okay, I don't want that backpan thing anymore. So I'll just say, there you go. Now that is what commenting is, and you'll be doing that a lot. So I've written a code which says, hello, hello, I am Batman. So there you go. I want that right now. But in this chapter, I'm going to be talking about variables, and I don't want the Batman thing to come anymore. So I can always comment it. So that's one thing that you'll be doing a lot. You'll be doing a lot of commenting. Another reason to comment is to write notes for yourself, like like an explanation. I'm a big believer in documentation, where you document what you're doing. So I can always type things like, hey, in this chapter, I am discussing variables and debugging. There you go. So now that is something which will help me and it will help you. So as you're learning, you leave to yourself and to your teammates notes. Okay, so again, that is something you are going to do with commenting. So very useful. So that is how you comment. Command / on the Mac, Control / on the Windows. So whenever you want to leave notes to yourself or to your teammates, use commenting. Commenting is a very good habit. It really has helped me a lot in my career as well. And another reason to use commenting is you'll write a lot of code, and sometimes you don't want it anymore, but you don't want to delete it yet, in which case you can just comment it and then delete it later at some point in the future. So there you go. That is about commenting. So that is, next thing is caveman debugging, like this console logging. A lot of times you want to sort of track what is happening in your code. Okay, so whenever you want to do some kind of a tracking, we use console logging, and the word used for that is caveman debugging, because I'll talk about debugging in this chapter. It is called caveman debugging because it's one of the oldest ways of debugging and simplest way of debugging. There are some developers who don't like to use it, but I use it a lot, mainly because I'm a teacher, I'm a tutor. So I like to focus on the simple things which will make learning better. So please do practice K-man debugging. I'll be using that a lot in my projects as well. So, and you'll be seeing that in this chapter too. So there you go. Two things, commenting and K-man debugging, which is nothing but console logs. You will get used to it. So let's get started here. So let's start by creating some variables. So that is what I want to do here. I would like to go ahead and show you how to declare and also assign values to variables. So let's go ahead and declaring variables in JavaScript is fairly straightforward. You can simply start by using var. Now in programming we have these things called keywords. Okay, keywords are terms which have a special meaning in programming languages. So var is a keyword which is used whenever you're trying to create a new variable. Now there are other ways of doing variables. I'll show that as well. But yes, so keywords, again, you'll get used to it. So var is the keyword that is used whenever you want to create a variable. So I'm going to go ahead and create a variable called let's say Monday. Okay, and I'll just put Monday equals 10. Now what I just did is I used the var keyword. I declared a variable called Monday, and then using the assignment operator, I gave it a value of 10. And using semicolon is optional in JavaScript, but I'm an old school programmer. I like to use the semicolon. If you don't want to use it, that's okay. Like for example, you can look here. I don't have any errors yet. If I remove the semicolon, no errors come either. However, if I remove the 10, I will get an error. So there you go. So as you're typing, keep an eye on the output. Usually the computer will try to help you when you make a mistake. So right, and you'll get like a red line highlighting there's an error. So what is the error right now? You can see here it says expected expression got end of script. So it was expecting me to put a value there. So like this, you will get an error when you make a mistake. But please understand, a lot of times the computer can only tell you when you make a error, which is like this. If you make complex errors, which are not actual errors but output errors, we call them logical errors. The computer can't tell you. So don't depend entirely on this. Be aware of mistakes you're making on your own. So there you go. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that error right now. So I'm going to say var Monday equals 10. I don't have to put a semicolon. The error is gone now, but I am an old school programmer. I like to put semicolon. That's really up to you. It's your personal choice. And there it is. So let me create another variable. Now I'm going to say var Tuesday equals 20. Now this is another thing I would like to point out. In a lot of programming languages, like say C#, you have to declare in advance what type of data you are storing. Now what that means is you have to specify in advance that Monday is a integer variable, so it can only hold integers. You have to declare in advance that Tuesday is a string variable because you're planning to store strings. Now that is something which is which happens in programming languages like C# and so on, just in case you are coming from that background and so on. However, in JavaScript, things are a lot more flexible. You don't have to specify in advance if something is an integer or something is a string. You don't have to do that. JavaScript will automatically assign whatever type you ask it to be. So here I simply have to use var, and then I can simply say Monday is an integer. You can see here it says number, but whereas Tuesday is a string, you can see there's a small tiny pop-up telling me that the same thing is now holding a string. So JavaScript is a little bit more flexible. This is a good thing and the bad thing at the same time. You'll realize that as time goes by. But ultimately, JavaScript just does focus on flexibility compared to rigidity. So as always, it's like pros and cons. But anyway, so there you go. So you don't have to worry about declaring in advance. So you can just start off with whatever name you want and assign whatever data type you want. You can put it as integer, string, a floating number, why not? So I'm going to say var, and I'm going to say Wednesday equals 40.65. See? So if I put the cursor here, it will tell me that yes, it is a number. So again, it's a decimal number, no problem, using the same var keyword. So that is how you go ahead and create variables and then assign values to it. Now you can create variables without assigning values. That is totally allowed. I can show to you right now. You can say here, I can say var Thursday, and I can just stop there, and you'll see here that there is no error. So you have a variable which doesn't have any value at all. So look at that. So it says any, it can be anything. Right now it doesn't know what it is. So this one is a number, you can see that. This one is a string, you can see that. This one is again a number, you see that. But this one is anything. So it can be anything because I haven't assigned a value to it. No problem. So I can also do something like this. I can say Thursday equals Monday. So now what happens? Whatever value is there in Monday is now in Thursday as well. Now, how do you find out what is there and so on? Now, there are two ways of checking what is going on. Let me just put a simple console log here. So all the variables of this chapter are created. Okay, so if I check here, it says here all the variables are created, right? So now what I can do here is I can go, you have this option called debugger. I'm going to go to debugger and I'm going to put a simple click here. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and put another click here. Okay, and then I'm going to reload. Now, did you see that? Do you see how like there's a small tiny icon, it's like dancing left and right? Let me make sure my video is not blocking it. No, it's not blocking it. You can see here there's a small tiny dancing icon, which means the execution is happening, but it has paused. It has been paused by the debugger. So what I can do here is I can go here. You can see here it is stopped here. It even tells you that it is stopped at this stage. Okay, you can see like there's a square, like a blue color rectangle. So that is where it is stopped. So I can put my cursor here. It says undefined. It means that line has not yet executed. So what I'll do is I'll click here again. So I have a total of 3 breakpoints. First breakpoint is at 5, next breakpoint is at 7, the third breakpoint is at 11. Now right now if I put my cursor on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they're all undefined right now. Now see what happens. Now there is a continue option here. Do you see this here? A very small icon with a play button called resume. So I'm going to resume. So now look at that, look at that. The rectangle is now stopping at line number 7. So Wednesday is undefined, but look at this, Monday is no longer undefined. And now Tuesday is no longer undefined. Now this is one way of finding out what is going on with variables, stopping the execution, observing the flow of the code. Now debugging, like everything else, is something you learn by practice. Okay, so let me click on the, again you see the dancing thing. That means it is still waiting for me to continue the debugging process. So I'm going to click on continue. So now it is stopped at line number 11, but now Wednesday is no longer undefined, Thursday is no longer undefined. And you know what, look at this, Monday has a value of 10 and Thursday also has a value of 10 because that value was received from Monday. So Monday is 10, so Thursday is 10, and I'm able to see that in the debugging process. So there you go, that is what we do debugging. So I hope you'll go ahead and repeat this video and then watch it and see how I did it. Okay, so I'm going to continue so I can stop the whole dancing thing. And there it's gone. See, the dancing thing is now gone and we have the whole thing working. So if I check console, the output is here. Let me just try that one more time. So whenever I want to do debug, I'll just go ahead and refresh. There you go. Again, the dancing thing, right? Left and right, left and right. It's waiting for me to do something. So Monday is undefined. I click on continue. Now it's gone to line number 7. Why? Because line number 7, I have a breakpoint. How do you put breakpoint? Just click wherever you want a breakpoint and that's it. It's a breakpoint. When you want to remove something, just remove it like this. Okay, and Monday is no longer undefined, Tuesday is no longer undefined, but Wednesday is undefined because that's where the breakpoint was. So I'm going to continue. So now Wednesday is no longer undefined, but Thursday is undefined because the breakpoint is stopped at line number 9. So I'm going to continue. And again, now Thursday is no longer undefined, but still the breakpoint is there at line number 11. I'm going to click on continue, and that's all there is to it. So execution is completed. So as you can see, debugging helps you look at the values, and debugging is a very, very essential part of programming, because you have heard about software development. You know that we always have bugs and we need to fix bugs. And during software development, you want to know how the data is flowing. So debugging becomes very, very important. So one way to do debugging is what I showed you right now. Another way which I like to use, a lot of people don't like to use it, is what I mentioned before in the PowerPoint, caveman debugging. So this is something I like to do as well. So what we do is we go ahead and we will try to put the values in console log. So I can do something like this. I can say console.log, the value of Monday variable is like this. So I can write sentences like this. The value of Tuesday, let me make sure my face is not blocking. Yeah, it's not blocking anything. There you go. And then I want another for the Wednesday. There you go. And finally for the Thursday. Okay, so now let me remove the breakpoints. Okay, and let me continue. So now if I go to the console, did you see that it was not there before? See, this is very interesting, isn't it? Like I just added this, and every sentence and whatever value is there is showing up. See, Monday is 10, Tuesday is 20, Wednesday is 40.65, Thursday is 10. So now there are two ways I can check the value. I can go to the debugger. I can put a debugger here, and then I can reload, and I can see here Monday is 10, Tuesday is 20, Wednesday is 40.65, and Thursday is 10. I can see that directly in the debugger. Let me just continue, or I can come here and I can look at those values here. Oh, let me remove this breakpoint. Hold on. So, or I can come to my console. I can see that Monday is 10, Tuesday is 20, Wednesday is 40.65, Thursday is 10, and so on and so forth. So there you go. There are two ways you can check for things, and that is where commenting, K-man debugging, and regular debugging, K-man debugging and regular debugging are very useful when we talk about programming. So that is the main thing I wanted to show you guys here, how to declare variables and so on and so forth. And that's what this chapter was about. In the next chapter, I will show you, I'll go and go into a little bit more detail about different kind of variables, and what are the different types of variables you can use in JavaScript. All right then. So previously you saw how we can go ahead and create variables using the what keyword, and then also do debugging using the debugging tools and also the K-man debugging. Now in this video, let's quickly look at the different data type. Now JavaScript obviously is a very mature programming language. It's been there for many, many decades. So it has a lot of options on storing different kind of data types. But we're going to look at the more essential ones that you'll be needing in this course. So let's go ahead, and we have, yes, okay, the main ones are going to be, let me once again grab my startup folder, the same one from last time. Okay, let me just get that here. There we go. Okay, same one from last time, which is oh, 1 second, hold on. Yeah, there we go. Right then. Okay, same one from last time. So what we're going to do is we are going to get rid of this here. Okay. All right. So the three main types which you'll use all the time is you'll be storing integers. Now integers are numbers which are usually like whole numbers like 5, 10, 15, and things like that. Then you have floating numbers or decimal numbers, like fractions, like when you're thinking about something like the value of pi, 3.14, stuff like that. So that is decimal values of floating numbers. And finally, of course, you have strings. Now, strings can be strings like a letter like A, it can be a word like hello, it can be a sentence like hello, how are you? So all these things fall under strings. And finally, we also have something called as objects. Okay, so you have objects, which we will discuss later. I don't want to go into objects right now. I will touch upon it again, just the surface of it in an upcoming video. So these are the main things that you'll be doing in your programming, especially for the mini project that I'm getting you ready for. So let's quickly do these things. We already done some of this in the previous video, but we'll just do it one more time just for the sake of clarity. So let's do it then. So first step, let me go ahead and create an integer variable. Now remember, one thing I need to mention is that in JavaScript you will run into what is called as let. So there are two ways to create variables. You have var. Okay, var, this is a number. You can give any name you want, it's totally fine, but try to give it a meaningful name. So this is a number. Now I can also do what is called as let. This is also a number equals 20. So in both cases, I'm creating an integer variable. Remember I told you in JavaScript everything is an object, so you can use any type to put any type. That's totally fine. Now, but before we jump into that, what is this var and let? You'll really encounter this confusion. Now, what happens is whenever you create a var variable, you can go ahead and create it again. So I can say this is a number equals 40. Okay, now look at this. You already have a variable called this is a number declared in line number 5, and then I'm redeclaring it in line number 8, and so far there are no errors. So this is the thing about var. It can be a little confusing. It's like you already have a person called J, and then right next to me, imagine there's another chair here and there's another guy called J. Can get mighty confusing. So to solve this confusion, I'm not going to say it's a problem, because this is how JavaScript has been for quite some time. We have the let keyword. So what happens is, now you see here I used let to create a variable called this is also a number. Now if I try to do that again, you can see already the moment I typed it, I've received a red line. I'm going to remove the breakpoint here, and I'm going to continue with this. Okay, there we go. So if you go this, you see here I have a red line here telling me that I cannot redeclare, and I also have an error on the right side telling me that I cannot redeclare. So that is what let really does. It does exactly what the var keyword does, help you create variables and objects. But the thing is, with var you have the flexibility or confusion, depends on how you look at it, of using the same name twice, or if you want the computer to tell you, the compiler to tell you, the code to tell you that, hey, you're using the same name twice, you can use the let option. So if you're asking me for advice, like Jay, which is better, I think using let is just better. But a lot of times I use var as well. So you can just use them interchangeably, which is fine. And eventually you'll reach a point in your programming career where you decide, okay, you know what, I'm going to stick to var or let. So really up to you, but you need to know what they do. So let will simply tell you if you use the same name again. So that is something you need to know, and I've just explained that to you. Right then, so let's get back to what we are trying to do. I'm going to create an integer variable. So you're going to say var, and then you're going to say this is a number, and you can put any kind of whole numbers here, like 10 or 20 or 10,000 and so on and so forth. So that is how you go ahead and create a variable and assign a whole number an integer. And then you're going to create a double value. Let me use let here just to show you that it's the same thing. This is a decimal number, and I can put a decimal number. Easy. That's it. That's another type of value that you can store in JavaScript. And then let's go ahead and say a character. This is a character. You can give whatever name you want. I can use like this. Okay, I can also do something like this. Why is the breakpoint coming every time? I've removed it. I just removed it. It even got recorded. Why is it coming back every time? I don't understand. Yeah. Okay, I think that is gone now. All right, it is gone. Okay, so let this, this is a word, equals. So I can put a word like hello. There it is. Okay, there it is, right? I can also use single quotes here. Like I can say this is a character equals in single quote, which is totally fine. Wait a second. I can't use the same word. This is a character part 2. I can say part 2. There you go. I can use a single quote as well. All right. So that, there you go. That's another way of doing things. That's about, and I can also put a sentence. So I can say this is a sentence in the same way. So I can say, hello, how are you? All right. So there it is. So but the main way you would go about, or the different main data types, we call these data types. These are different types of data. That's where the word comes, data type. So I can store integers, I can store decimal values, I can store single characters, I can use single quote as well, I can use double quote as well. There are some differences when and why you do that, but I think that's beyond the scope of this specific course. But you can see that I can use it, and of course I can also put a sentence. And all of them we can do using either var or let. And of course, var means you can reuse the same name, but if you use let, it'll force you to use unique names, which is actually a good idea. So, I mean, since you're just starting your programming career now, you might as well just use let all the time, but don't be surprised if you see var coming up in all the example code that you might see. Now, one last thing before I wrap up is an object. Now, I'm going to touch upon object in a later video, but I just want to show you how you'd create it. So I'm going to say let example object equals, then you can say name j, comma, say age, I'm going to say 40, and then I'm going to say some random decimal 56.89. So there it is. So that is an object. Now, just like I explained in the previous video, if I want to see these values, I can easily go here to the debugger and I can put a breakpoint wherever I want to see the value. Let me put a breakpoint here, and let me just type something here. So console.log end of the code. Yes, there it is. Okay. So now what I will do is I will go ahead and reload this. There we go. I'm going to put a breakpoint. So now if I want to see the value, I can put a breakpoint wherever I feel like. And let me make sure my face is not blocking the code. No, it is not. So I can see this is the value is 10,000. This value is 90.87. This one is undefined because the breakpoint is still stuck there. I'm going to continue the breakpoint. Now I can see this is a character is A, this is a word is hello, this is a character part 2 is A again, and then this is a sentence is undefined, but I'm going to continue the breakpoint. Now this is a sentence is how are you, and now this is the interesting part. Look at the object, see how different it is. Look at this, this is a simple variable, see how simple they are, but look at this object. It has a completely different structure. There's something called prototype. I can open it up. Let me slowly move the cursor there. There you go. It has a lot of these things. Looks very, very complex. So objects are a complex concept. We are not going to jump into that too deep into this video, but I will touch upon that at the end of the video. So there you go. Of course, you can always use, before I forget, if you don't, I also talk to you about K-man debugging. So if I want to, I don't want to do this breakpoint thing, I can get rid of it. And I can also do something like console.log, K-man debugging, and I can say example object, and I can see the same thing here also. See, there you go. So you can use the debugging in the breakpoint system, or you can also do K-man debugging. Really up to you how you want to see the values which are stored in your variables and objects. Now, please understand every variable in JavaScript is an object. So again, I can't go too deep into it because it's beyond the scope of this course. So there it is. That's what I wanted to explain in this video: the different types of data that you use in JavaScript: integer, string, decimal, and of course objects. And that is what I have done. I'll continue in the next video. Hello and welcome to the next video in our JavaScript basics section. So previously we discussed variables and how to debug them, different data types and so on. Now in this specific video, I am going to be talking about operators. Now operators are things which are available in the programming language which allow you to do a lot of things which are needed for you to get the work done. We already saw an operator called the equals operator. Whenever you create a variable, you go ahead and use the equals operator, also called as the assignment operator, to assign values to a variable. And the same thing works with objects as well. In this video, I'm going to, no, there are many operators in programming, letting you do all sorts of programming activities. There is no scope here to look at all the operators, so I'm going to just focus on the ones that we'll be using and something that you should know. So I'm talking about the math operators. So when it comes to math operators, we are talking about, plus, the addition operator, minus, the subtraction operator, the star symbol, which is the multiplication operator, and the slash operator, which is nothing but the division operator, and the remainder operator, which gives you a remainder whenever you do a division and stuff like that. So these are the operators I want to show in this specific video. But again, as I mentioned before, there are many operators in programming, but many of them are beyond the scope of this course. So let's get started. As always, I have my starter folder here. Let me get rid of this. The code from the previous video. Let's get rid of all these things here. So what I want to do is I would like to focus on the, we need two numbers. We are doing math operators, so we need two numbers. Let me get the output thing working here. I don't think it's gonna block my, and let me just remove myself as well. Okay, all right then. So first step, we need two numbers. So let's go ahead and use let. I want to say first number equals 50. And then I'm going to say let second number equals, let's make it 27. Okay, so let's do the addition. So I'm going to say let addition result equals first number plus, that is the addition operator, and there it is. Okay, so now I want to show this on the screen. Now I can use breakpoints, but I'm just going to use K-man debugging to show the output. So I'm going to do something like this. I'll say console.log the addition of, see how I'm doing here, I'm doing what is called a string building, where I'm combining a combination of double quotes and variable names to get like a easy to understand sentence on the right side. The addition of first number and second number, so making it like a nice sentence. You can see there it's coming as a sentence on the right side. Equals, okay, so whenever you're string building, you can use the plus symbol. Now again, I just told you that here is the addition math operator, but here it is actually helping me with combining strings. So this is another thing you'll notice in programming. The same symbol can have different meanings depending on what you are trying to do. So in line number 6, we are using it to add two numbers, whereas in line number 8 we are using it to add strings, or to use the programming word concatenate a string. So you'll notice these things, same symbol being used for multiple scenarios depending on what you're trying to achieve. So let's keep going there. So I'm building a string here using a combination of plus symbol and variables and double quotes for strings. And I want to say addition result. So if I check my Firefox, you can see here on the right side, I have a nice output here. It says the addition of 50 and 27 is 77. Now building these strings is also something you need to learn over time. So if I come here and change this to 60, there you go, it immediately updates itself. So let's keep going. So I have shown you the additional operator. I want to do the same thing with the subtraction operator. I can copy paste, you can type also if you feel like it. So this one is going to be subtraction result. So copy pasting is useful, but you need to know what changes you should be making. So subtraction result, the subtraction of first number and second number equals subtraction result. So I'm trying to subtract 60 and 27, and I'm supposed to get, hold on, I have not used the subtraction operator. There you go. That is going to be 60 and 27 equals 33. So that's the, and also you can see here the line is becoming a little too big. I'm getting these things, so I can use Option Z on the Mac. On the Windows, it is Alt Z, so I can do some text wrapping. So that's cool. So let's keep going. I've done the subtraction. Let me next do the multiplication. So I'm going to call this one multiplication result. That's good. I'm going to change the word here, and then I am going to say change the symbol here from minus to the star operator, which is the multiplication operator. And here I'm going to copy this and put this here. So there you go, 60 into 27. Multiplication is going to be 1620. So that seems to be looking fine. Let's go ahead and use the division operator. I have the division result. Okay, that's good. And then I'm going to say division of first number. Again, I'm going to change the operator from the star symbol to the division, and I'm going to show that here. So you can see here the division operator says when you try to divide 60 by 27, you get 2.222222223. So there you go, that's working fine. Those are the four main operators that I wanted to show you guys. The last one is the remainder operator. Now, I've noticed whenever I teach this in a live class and stuff like that, some students don't know or remember what a remainder is. A remainder is something that you get when you try to divide a number. Like, for example, if I'm trying to divide 9 by 2, so 2 multiplied by 4 equals 8, and then 9 minus 8 equals 1, and that is the remainder. I don't know why some people don't know this. If you already know it, I'm very happy for you, but just in case you don't know, so there you go. A remainder is what you get when you try to divide a number and something is left over. So when you try to divide 9 by 2, the remainder is 1. If you try to divide 11 by 3, so 3 into 3, 3 multiplied by 3 is 9. 11 minus 9 is 2. So 2 is the remainder. For some reason, some people don't know what remainders are. But if you know, I'm happy for you. But in case you don't know, there you go. That's what a remainder is. So we're going to use the remainder operator. So I'm going to say let. Oh, wait, I can just copy paste. I don't need to type the whole thing. So let's go ahead and do that. Let remainder result. Okay, remainder result, remainder, okay, equals for, and then here I need to do this is a symbol for it. The percentage symbol acts as the remainder, or some people use the word modulus operator as well, which is fine. So let's go ahead and try to see. So there you go. The remainder, when you try to divide 60 by 27, you are left with 6 as the remainder. So I mean, I can try the examples I gave you earlier. Let me try to do one more set just to prove my point. Let me just copy paste this. Okay, let me just call this 2, and then here I can say 11 remainder with 3 is 2, because 3 multiplied by 3 is 9. 9, 11 minus 2, 11 minus 9 is 2. So let's see if we get the answer as, so 11 remainder with 3 should be 2. Are we getting 2? There it is. Look at that. So there you go. That's what the remainder is all about. So there it is. Those are the main operators that I want to show you in this video. Now, please understand that JavaScript programming language, like every other mature language out there, it has many operators, which will be, and there are occasions where you have to use a specific operator to get the desired output. And there are a lot of them. I cannot discuss all of them here, but these are the main ones. We already saw the assignment operator before, and we've seen the math operator, and I've explained that to you with the example code. So that's all there is to it for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. All right then, welcome to the next part of the JavaScript section. In the previous video, you saw how we can use the math operators to perform some basic math operations. So that is what happened before. Now, in this video, I'm going to show you again very briefly the concept of arrays. Now, arrays is a concept that will once again is one of those things that you will kind of pick up almost immediately, or it is something that it'll take you a long time to um, long time for you to process and understand. But anyway, I have to show you how it works and everything. So what I have to do is hold on, this is where we stop last. Oh, there you go, that's right. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is, as always, let's go ahead and grab the starter folder. The starter folder, the usual stuff that you have. Let's get the starter folder, and then here we go. This is the code from the previous one, so I'm going to simply remove that for now. I don't need it, right? Okay, there you go. Okay, and I would like to test it out, so I'm going to open this in Firefox, something that we have been doing for some time now. So you already know that step. Right, here we go. And I'll quickly open the developer tools, and voila, that's all there is to it. Just put it here like this, and then this one, just put it here half the screen, and now we are ready to practice JavaScript and look at the output immediately. So that is the story. It's right now empty. There you go, that's right. So I have my basic setup here. I have the example folder. So arrays, now one thing which you will understand is a string is essentially an array. Now I just need to mention that, like, whenever you do something like this, var some string, now please understand that you can, instead of var, you can use let as well. There's nothing stopping you from using a let here, but I'm just going to use var for now. So this is a string, it's actually an array. So this is a key concept. Once again, I'm not going to go too deep into it, so I'll try to do something like a var length of the string equals some string dot, there you go, and then if I say console dot log length of the string is all right, there you go. So if I do that, I'll see here that there are 40 characters in this string. So that's one thing that you need to remember. Now, if I put a breakpoint here and I reload this page, I go here to some string. You can see there that it is a string, right? It has the value, this is a string. So now what I could actually do is I can come back here. Let me remove the breakpoint, and I will say for, okay, I equals 0. I'll talk about for loops next. For loops and arrays, they go hand in hand. So even if you don't understand for loops right now, just go along with me, okay? We'll worry about for loops in the upcoming video. So there it is, and then I want to say console dot log, and then I want to say some string and then I. Now, what the square bracket is, we will talk about that in a second. And I want to say like this, okay, and then I want to just put a simple message here that says for loop has ended. You'll notice that sometimes I use double quotes, sometimes I use single quotes. It's fine. You can use. There are multiple ways to do this. There we go. Okay, if I go to console log and I go ahead and run this, did you see that? Did you see that? Look at that. So you see, like, this is the length of the string, and that is coming from line number 7. But then you'll see that every character in the string, see the first letter T for tango, and then the second letter H for hotel. So each of them is coming up in a separate line. Now that is happening due to a combination of the concept called for loops, which we will discuss, and also the concept of arrays that I'm going to demonstrate. I'm already showing to you right now, where I'm trying to show to you that a string is essentially an array. Now this is going to be a tricky concept because I'm just kind of dumping this on you, but this is something I would like you to go and explore a little bit more. But if you simply recreate the example I have provided for you, just go ahead and do this thing a couple of times, and next video about the for loop, so look at that as well, and you'll be in a good position to understand what is happening. So essentially what I'm trying to show you here is not trying, I've actually shown you, is a string. It looks like it's something which is like completely separate, but it really is not. It is actually an array made up of a series of characters, and whenever you want to go through an array, like look inside its contents, maybe display what it has and stuff like that, we always use a for loop, and you see the for loop right there. So that's the main thing. So that is really the point I'm trying to make here. A string is ultimately an array of characters, and like any other array, we can go through it using the for loop. I believe I'm going to discuss for loop in the next video, but it's good to know how it looks right now. These two chapters, like, they go hand in hand. But for sake of simplicity, I have divided that into separate chapters. So there you go. That's about the string, the array being a string, something that I want you to go ahead and dig deeper in your own free time. Now